the gospel speaks about love of enemies. And this is radical. It is not easy. It is not easy to love your enemies. Can we ever forget the terrifying face of our own military turned against us as enemy? Can we ever forget the megalomaniac regime which plundered our nations? Ayaw namin ng leader na may katungkulan, subalit walang karangalan.
Let us not allow a drop of blood to be shed. If we can solve this problem peacefully, that would be the best.
But lest we forget, to God belongs all the honor and glory. He is the real light of the world, ang tunay na tanglaw ng bayan. My father was a very meek and humble man. He never antagonizes my mother. Whatever my mother says, my father said, yes. That is pure love.
Saan nga ba nagmumula ang galing at talino ng isang tao? Paano nabubuo ang kanyang isipan o di kaya nahuhubog ang magiging hugis ng kanyang puso? Marahil kailangang magbalik tanaw, balikan ang tahanan ng kanyang kamusmusan. Sa bayang ito, sa tabing dagat ng Aklan, nakipagsapalaran ang isang negosyanteng inchik na nabighanit na kapangasawa ng isang mestisang nagngangalang Maxima La Chica o Mimay. Ni minsan siguro hindi inakala ni Wansin na magmumula sa kanyang munting tahanan sa New Washington ang magiging isang haligi ng simbahang Katolika sa Pilipinas. 16 na anak ang isinilang ni Mimay. Sa kasawiang palad, 9 lamang dito ang nabuhay. Gayunpaman, lumaking malulusog ang mga bata, maliban sa isa, ang pangalawa sa bunsong, si Jaime, na nagkaroon ng matinding hika. Si Jaime, nasakitin at parating nangihina, ang naging paborito ng kanyang inang, si Mimay.
Why was I so close to my mother? Because I was the most sickly and the ugliest among all. And that is very normal. When you are sickly, you get all the affection of your mother.
Mahina man ang kanyang baga, hindi ito naging hadlang sa kanyang dila. Sa katunayan nga, naging mahusay si Jaime sa pagsasalita. Natural na natural sa kanya ang pakikipag-usap at pagpapatawa, bagay na dala pa niya hanggang ngayon. Lumitaw ang mga talino ni Jaime, kaya nga't nakumbinsi ang kanyang ina na nararapat lamang na ialay sa Panginoon ang kanyang paboritong anak. Di mahirap hikayatin ang batang si Jaime na magpari. Mulat sa pulpa lang, ito na ang pangarap ng batang hikain. Kahit nasakitin siya, nagawa niyang magbisikleta sa malalayong baryo para lang magturo ng katikismo at sumali sa mga prosesyon. Ang naging paborito niyang laro ay ang magpanggap na paring nagmimisang Latin.
We would mimic the priest at home. It was a game. It was so solemn that I thought I was hearing the mass in the church.
Hindi pa siya nagtatapos ng grade school, nagpasya na si Jaime na pumasok sa seminaryo ng Haro, Iloilo. Bagamat natupad ang pangarap ng kanyang ina, hindi naman natuwa ang ama ng tahanan.
He does not like me to become a priest. He said you should be a businessman like myself. My mother said no, he should go to the seminary. And my father kept quiet.
11 anyos si Jaime nang pumasok siya sa San Vicente Ferrer Seminary noong 1941. Noong taon din yon, natuklasan na may kanser ang kanyang ina. Bagamat ikinalungkot ito ni Jaime, lalong tumibay ang kanyang paninindigang maging pari. Pansamantalang naudlot ang ambisyon ni Jaime nang pumutok ang pangalawang digmaang pandaigdig. Nagsara ang mga eskwelahan at seminaryo, kaya't napilitang bumalik si Jaime sa New Washington. Pero sa gitna ng gulo ng digmaan, di hinayaan ng kanyang ina na mapalayo si Jaime. Agad niya itong ipinadala sa Kalibo upang tumulong sa isang pari roon. Ang pinakamalaking panganib daw sa anak nitong si Jaime ay hindi ang mga nagkalat na hapon, kundi ang mga nagkalat na dalaga.
My mother said, "Do not stay at home. There are so many beautiful ladies here. You will forget about your vocation."
1945, Liberasyon. Nabuhayan muli ng loob ang sambayanan. Pero sa kabila ng pagbalik ng mga Amerikano, nabalutan muli ng lungkot ang pamilyang Sin. Lumala ang kondisyon ng kanilang ina. Pinatawag agad nito mula sa Kalibo ang paboritong anak. Doon sa paanan ng kama ng kanyang naghihingalong ina, narinig ni Jaime ang huling habilin ng ina.
My father approached her and said, "Something more I can do for you." My mother said, "This boy becomes a priest. And if he does not become a priest because of you, out of my grave would I stand to squeeze your neck." And then she died.
Sa pagkamatay ng kanyang ina, lalong luminaw kay Jaime ang dapat niyang gawin. Sa katahimikan ng 1946, agad siyang bumalik sa seminaryo ng San Vicente Ferrer upang tuparin ang habilin ng ina. Sa kabila ng kanyang determinasyong magpari, patuloy na humina ang kanyang baga. Hanggang sa mga huling araw bago siya maging pari, walang humpay ang pangamba niyang baka ang sarili pa niyang katawan ang maging kalaban niya sa bokasyon.
The rector said, "What are you going to do if you are a priest and you are asthmatic? You will be useless in your apostolate. So you better quit and do not become a priest because it will be a burden for you." I was very sad. One day, they had a beautiful statue of Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal coming from Spain. And the seminarians were singing at the chapel. The infirmary was at the back of the chapel, and I was there. After they were through with their prayers, they went down to take their dinner. I crawled to the chapel and said, "Blessed Mother, you are powerful. Cure me." And the moment I become well, wherever I go, I will proclaim your name. I wrote a letter to her and signed with my blood. Place it under the statue.
Mula nooy tumigil ang mga atake ng asma. Hanggang ngayon namamangha pa rin ang mga doktor sa pangyayaring yon. Milagro man o hindi, naging malinaw sa lahat na tuloy-tuloy na ang pagpapari ng seminaristang si Jaime. May naganap na kasunduan kay Father Jaime Sin at sa mahal na Birheng Maria. Sa pamamagitan ng taos-pusong pag-aalay ng sarili ni Jaime sa Diyos, ipagkakatiwala ni Maria ang simbahan sa kamay ng isang paring may pangalang katunog ng kasalanan. Isang di pangkaraniwang kasunduan ito na daraan sa halos 5 dekada ng pagsubok. Sa kauna-unahang araw niya bilang pare, Sabit kaagad si Father Jaime.
After ordination, the bishop said, all of you can have 1 month vacation. Then you will be assigned. You, pointing at me, you prepare yourself, you go to Rome and study canon law. Then I just answered, I don't like to study anymore. I want to work already. Then he looked at me, this morning you promised me obedience. And now you are already complaining. So tomorrow you cannot say Mass. You return back to the retreat house until I tell you. Then I was assigned as missionary for 3 years in the rural areas, in the mountains, and that is what I like.
He loved it. In fact, if the bishop did not call us to the seminary, perhaps we could have finished the whole diocese. He was enjoying.
There were so many dangers, I was almost killed because I have plenty of money people were giving me. And one day, I was kneeling down praying the rosary. Somebody went up, passing the window with a knife. And I saw him. I said, do not kill me. If it is the money that you like, it is there. Get it. But do not kill me because I can still do something good for the people. He did not get the money. He went home. And the bishop heard about this. And he said, I cannot lose you. Stop your mission.
Hinarap nila ang mga panganib dahil sa paniniwalang higit na mahalaga ang kanilang misyon sa sariling buhay. Bukod sa pagpapalaganap ng mabuting balita, kinailangan din nilang lumikom ng pondo para sa pagpapatayo ng unang diocesan seminary sa Capiz.
Well, we made the people conscious. The seminary is, we are constructing the seminary and we need funds. You need priests. We cannot have priests without the seminary. So you give to the seminary.
Dumalaw ang papal nuncio sa ginagawang gusali. Si Father Jaime, 28 pa lamang, ang naatasang salubungin ang nuncio.
It was the Cardinal who made the welcome speech in Spanish. Very eloquent Spanish. Itong tao nito, he speaks Spanish very, very well. So, Banyos, the nuncio, who was Banyos, he was so impressed. On the spot, sabi niya, I kaya sir, is still rector. You have to make this guy director.
Nakilala ang St. Pius X Seminary bilang isang tanyag na institusyon para sa paghubog ng mga pari. Ang lahat ng paring propesor gaya ni Father Jaime ay kinailangang kumuha ng masteral degree sa education. Kinilala ito ng lokal na pamahalaan bilang isa sa pinakamahusay na paaralan sa Pilipinas. Nagtamo ito ng maraming parangal bilang isang academic institution. Pero mas kilala si Father Sin sa kanyang makabagong paraan ng paghubog ng mga seminarista. Sa ilalim ni Father Jaime, ang seminarista ay hindi na inihiwalay sa lipunan. Naging bahagi na siya nito. Ang unang grupo ng 33 seminarista sa ilalim ni Father Jaime ay nabigyan ng pagkakataong mag-aral sa ibang bansa. Sa panahon ding ito, napatunayan ni Father Jaime ang kanyang kakayahang maghanap at humawak ng pondo para sa misyon.
I don't know kung magaling siya sa Pilanes, pero magaling siya maghanap. Magaling siya maghanap ng wala. I think money is not a problem to him. He has no attachment sa money. Absolutely.
He gives away everything he receives. And that perhaps is the reason why when he's in need of anything, it just comes to him. I remember a priest from the province who wanted some amount of money for his project in the province, rural areas, sabi niya. Asking the Cardinal self, sabi niya, ay maghintay ka lang. Let's see what we can do about it. And later on, a donor came to give the same amount of money which the priest was asking for. And he gave it to the priest right away.
3 taon matapos siyang mahirang na rektor ng Pius X Seminary, inangat siya sa titulong Monsignor o Domestic Prelate. Sa kabila ng pag-angat sa kanyang posisyon, nanatili pa rin si Monsignor Jaime sa kanyang simpleng pamumuhay. Buong puso namang sinuportahan ang bagong Monsignor ng kanyang pamilya. Hindi nabawasan ang suportang ito kahit na naluklok si Jaime sa pinakamataas na posisyon sa simbahang Katolika sa Pilipinas.
I don't know why I became bishop. And the one who was just informed was my sister. My sister was in Iloilo, and Archbishop Cuenco said, "Your brother will become a bishop." In 3 days' time, I was called to become a bishop. And the way how they called me was through the telephone. And that is not done. I was called with the nuncio. The Holy See has appointed you auxiliary bishop of Iloilo. I was not there. The one who answered was Father Depra.
So, about 10:30, he was having his haircut. Sabi ko, may tawag ka sa Lunsyo. Tawag ka. So, he went down. Dinig ko kasi nakatutok tayo ko. Este es el nuncio. El Santo Padre ha dignado nombrarte obispo auxiliar de Haro. Acceptas o no? A little bit, he was taken aback, no? Parang nabigla siya. Sabi niya in Spanish, Su Excelencia, hay tiempo para pensar. Do I have time to think? No hay tiempo para pensar. Acceptar, sí o no? Sabi ko, accept na, accept already. Parang nanginig siya ng konti. Siyempre, malaki yan eh. Sabi niya, well, in obedience to Holy Mother of the Church, in obedience a la Santa Madre, you accept them. Ay, okay na tayo.
Sa Haro, nanungkulan si Bishop Jaime Sin. Sentro ito ng kultura at kayamanan ng Visayas. Ang katedral ng Haro ay parang bantayog ng simbahang Katolika na sumusubaybay sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay at paghahanap buhay ng taong bayan. Marso 1972, namumula sa bandera ang mga kalsada. Nagbabaga ang mga protesta laban kay Marcos. Nagbabanta ang isang malagim na sigwa sa lipunan. Subalit habang revolusyon ng sigaw ng kabataan sa lansangan, mula sa pulpito, revolusyon ng pagmamahal ang itinuturo ni Bishop Jaime. Sa halip na pagpapatalsik kay Marcos, kapatiran, pagkakaisa at kapayapaan ang kanyang isinusulong. Paulit-ulit niyang pinanindigan ito sa mga susunod na taon. Hindi sang-ayon dito ang karamihan ng mga Pilipino. Naniniwala silang dapat agad ipatalsik si Marcos.
As of the 21st of this month, I signed Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law.
Gumuho ang mundo para sa maraming Pilipino. Naghari ang takot at sindak. Samantalang sa Haro, makalipas ang 1 buwan, si Bishop Sin ay hinirang na arsobispo. Ipinaayos niya ang katedral, ang sementeryo, at pinag-ukulan ng pansin ang mga napabayaang seminaryo at kumbento. Sa kanyang sariling bayan, pinatayo niya ang Convent of the Pink Sisters sa lupain ng kanyang pamilya. Bagamat naging abala siya sa iba't ibang problema, hindi niya kailanman kinalimutan ang mga personal niyang obligasyon sa Panginoon.
He rises up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then he starts that day praying.
He prays very early. He begins his day with prayer. Kaya dyan siguro nakikita niya, I think the Holy Spirit is very close to this man. Okay.
Marso 18, 1974, dumaong sa pier ng Maynila ang MV Doña Florentina, lula ng isang halos hindi kilalang pari mula sa Aklan, ang bagong arsobispo ng Maynila. Ang dating unang ginang na si Imelda Marcos mismo ang sumalubong sa kanya. 10 ng pamunuan ng simbahan at ng pamahalaan. Marahil nabigla ang bagong arsobispo sa bilis ng takbo ng buhay at sa tindi ng intriga sa kapital ng Pilipinas. Hindi niya ito ipinakita. Subsob agad siya sa trabaho.
When he came here to Manila, his first concern was the priests. His first concern. His first statement was, I will never close my door. It will always be open to the priest. If they want to come at any time, let them come. He was a blessing to every bishop in the Philippines. He was helping every diocese in the Philippines.
Sa ilalim ni Arsobispo Sin, naitayo ang Caritas Manila, ang San Lorenzo Ruiz Missionary Seminary, ang Radio Veritas at marami pang institusyon ng simbahan. Higit sa lahat, binigyang pansin ng Arsobispo ang mga diocesan priests, mga paring walang kongregasyon. Nagtatag siya ng retirement fund para sa kanila at binigyan niya ang mga ito ng libreng paggamutan. Habang abala si Cardinal Sin sa kanyang iba't ibang gawain sa arsobispado, abala rin naman si Imelda Marcos sa kanyang sariling mga proyektong magpapaganda di umano sa Maynila. Dito nagsimula ang kontrobersya at banggaan ng dalawang makapangyarihang pinuno, ang maluhong First Lady at ang Arsobispo ng Maynila. Kung inakala ng mga Marcos na si Sin ay isang tupa na maaari lamang nilang paikot-ikutin, sila'y nagkamali. Ang tila'y maamong tupa ay isa palang matapang na pastol na handang ipaglaban ang kanyang kawan. Naghihintay lamang ito sa tamang panahon.
Many times we are making a stand, and when we make a stand, they will complain that we are interfering in politics. But then I do not interfere many times, but there are often occasions when we have to make a stand to help the country. Just imagine if we are not here for this, what will happen to the country?
Nang si Sin ay formal na iluklok bilang Arsobispo ng Maynila, iniwasan muna niyang kalabanin ang diktadoryang Marcos bilang paggalang sa Estado. Hindi ito naunawaan ng mga kalaban ni Marcos na naghahanap noon ng kakampi laban sa diktadorya. Ngunit malinaw ang filosofiya ng bagong Arsobispo. Hindi manghihimasok ang simbahan sa mundo ng politika hanggat hindi kailangan.
He never was claiming that Marcos did everything right. He never argued in favor of dictatorship. But he thought Marcos is one of my children. I have to take care of Marcos as much as I take care of the poor. So he did it.
Sa palagay ko, ang pag-iisip ni Cardinal Sin, we must keep lines of communication open.
Setyembre 1, 1974, pinasok ng militar ang Sacred Heart Novitiate ng mga Jesuita sa Novaliches. May mga subversibo raw na nagtatago dito. Nagalit si Sin. Mula sa pulpito, inulan ng batikos ang rehimeng Marcos.
And that was the time when we wrote the first pastoral letter. And we went to the cathedral and we denounced him.
Ang pagpasok ng militar sa Sacred Heart Novitiate ang nagudyat sa pagwakas sa tinatawag na honeymoon period ni Sin at Marcos. Pero hindi ito nangahulugang itinakwil na ni Sin ang pinaka-prominenteng pamilya sa kanyang kawan. Critical collaboration ang tawag ni Arsobispo Sin sa kanyang kontrobersyal na pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga Marcos. Bukod sa tungkulin niyang payuhan ng mga Marcos sa mga bagay na espiritual, inako rin niya ang tungkuling kalampagin ang kanilang konsensya sa mga bagay na politikal. Kainitan na noon ng martial law, libo-libo ang nawawala, Libo-libo rin ang itinapon sa piitan na pinaglabang palayain ng arsobispo.
Yung mga desaparecidos, yung mga kinukulong ng gobyerno, ang dalas-dalas niya na humihingi na ilabas na sila, to look for people who had disappeared. So there was a constant ongoing movement in relationship with the Marcos government.
Sa kabila ng kanyang mga kilos protesta laban sa mga Marcos, patuloy pa rin siyang binatikos ng mga aktivista. Pinagbintangang kakampi ng mga Marcos na di umano'y takot lumahok sa kanilang ipinaglalaban.
These are mga Marxists, communists, and probably atheists. So, siguro the very opposite of what the Cardinal stands for. But these were people who fought Marcos. A lot of them died. A lot of them were tortured. A lot of them were salvaged, disappeared, and so on.
Hindi naglaon, inulan siya ng sari-saring batikos mula sa iba't ibang sektor. Masalimot ang naging sitwasyon ni Sin. Sa isang banda ay tinutuligsa ang kanyang pakikialam sa politika, habang sa kabilang dako na may binabatikos siya dahil kulang pa raw ang kanyang pakikialam. Sa huli, iisa lang ang itinuring na batayan ni Sin sa lahat ng kanyang mga pasya, kung ito ba'y tama o mali.
It didn't matter in the end, actually. Mas parang you judge people by what they do what they do eventually. I mean, the test of the pudding is in the eating. I mean, sabihin mo man ng kaibigan niya, and it didn't matter in the end. He really decided at one point to do what he thought was right. And it turned out to have the most tremendous consequences.
When Ninoy was on his hunger strike in 1975, I went to the Cardinal to ask him if he could administer the sacrament of the anointing of the sick. And he was very good about doing so. And he went to Fort Bonifacio, and it was a very emotional thing for Ninoy and for all of us. In fact, I remember Ninoy shedding tears. I felt I had a real friend in him, especially during martial law when we had very few friends.
You know, assassination is part of public service. My feeling is we all have to die sometime. If it's my fate to die by an assassin's bullet, so be it. But I cannot be petrified by inaction.
Agosto 21, 1983, mahigit isang dekada na mula nang namatay ang demokrasya sa bayan. Nagising ang buong bayan dahil sa pagkamatay ng isang bayani. Ngayon, di lamang pamilya at kaibigan ang dumalo sa misa. 3 milyong katao ang dumalo sa libing ng makabagong bayani. Nanguna sa mga nakiramay ang Kardinal.
He offered me a lot of comfort. And then especially after the assassination of Ninoy, I was very grateful to him for not only saying the Mass, but for delivering powerful homilies.
Kung may mga nagdududa noong panahon ng martial law sa motibasyon ng Kardinal, naglaho lahat ito matapos ng pagkapaslang kay Ninoy. Lumahok ang Kardinal sa sambayanang humihingi di lamang ng reforma sa pamahalaan, kundi ng tuluyang pagbibitiw ng diktadurya.
Mabuhay ang demokrasya!
Nobyembre 1985, bumigay na rin si Marcos at nagtawag ng isang snap elections. Nagulat ang sambayanan, naghagilap ng maaaring iharap sa mapangaping diktador. Bagamat marami ang tumulak kay Corazon Aquino, ang balo ni Ninoy, para tumakbong pangulo, may iilang kumampi naman kay Salvador Laurel. Ang dapat daw iharap kay Marcos ay isang bihasang politiko na nanggaling sa maimpluwensyang angkan. Sa kabila ng malaking pagkakataong ipatalsik ang diktadura, nahati pa ang oposisyon. Dito muling napatunayan ni Cardinal Sin ang husay niya sa negosasyon. Namahagi siya sa dalawang panig. Kinumbinsi niya si Laurel na magpaubaya at sumuporta sa pagkakandidato ng balong ni Minsay hindi pa nanungkulan sa gobyerno.
Laurel. He persuaded him. He persuaded Noy Laurel to accept the nomination as vice president. He did. And he did encourage Cory, and he did encourage Doy to run. He did.
He urged me to, during the campaign for the snap election, that for me to just tell my story, and he said that people would accept and would sympathize with me.
Isa sa pinakamaruming eleksyon sa kasaysayan ng Republika ang naganap. Lantaran ng Pandarayan. Nabahiran ng dugo ang mga balota ng isang diktadoryang ayaw pang magpatalo. Dahil sa karasang ito, lalong tumibay ang paninindigan ng simbahang ipaglaban ang tama. Pebrero 14, naglabas ang CBCP, grupo ng mga obispo, ng pinakamatapang nitong pastoral letter laban sa mga Marcos. Bago ito maihayag sa mga pulpito, agad nilapitan ni Imelda ang kanyang inakalang kaibigang kardinal.
So, sabi niya, but Your Eminence, kailangan ko talaga ng tulong kasi baka i-issue yung pastoral letter. Kung pwede, pigilin ninyo yung pastoral letter kasi i-condemn yata yung snap elections. Sagot ng Cardinal sa kanya, Imelda, I understand your feelings. But at the Bishop's Conference, we vote on this. I have only one vote. I am not as powerful as your husband.
Sa katunayan, hindi tama ang sagot ng kardinal. Dahil sa panahong yun, hindi man niya namamalayan, higit na siyang makapangyarihan kaysa kay Marcos.
We realize the gravity of the situation as far as our lives are concerned.
Sa gitna ng ingay ng mga protesta, naghanap rin ang di inaasahan ngunit matagal nang minimithi ng bayan. Nang mabuko ang tangka ni Enrileng magkudeta, kumalas sila ni Fidel Ramos sa kanilang dating leader. Litong-lito ang taong bayan, hindi malaman kung sino ang paniniwalaan. Isa na naman kaya itong palabas ni Marcos para ikulong ang mga kumakalaban sa kanya? Isang tao ang siyang nagpawi ng anumang pag-aalinlangan, si Cardinal Sin.
Before he called on the people to go to EDSA in 1986, he first went to his chapel, stayed there for a long time, and after praying, he came out and asked me, you contact Radio Veritas.
Minister Enrile and those with him have appealed for food and expressions of support. Those of you who wish to help should do so. In the meantime,
Naging malinaw na gabay ang tinig ng kardinal sa radyo. Magtipon raw sa EDSA at doon manindigan.
Tinawagan niya lahat ng contemplative community sa Maynila, the Poor Clares, the Carmelites, the Pink Sisters, hindi lang, at sila naman tumawag sa ibang mga konvento nila to keep up this prayer brigades going the whole time, 24 hours na walang tigil.
The plea of Cardinal Sin is to go to EDSA. Oh, there was a time that there were not too many people in EDSA, the next day especially. And we didn't realize they just went home to, change clothes and eat and rest for a little while. But boy, after that, when they came back, there was a huge crowd. And that continued. And it was miraculous.
Hindi inaasahan ng bayan na ang panawagan ng kardinal ang mag-uudyok ng isang revolusyong tatawaging people power na siyang magpapatalsik kay Marcos. Katahimikan at proteksyon ang hiling ng panawagang yon, ngunit radikal na pagbabago ang naging bunga nito.
Pilipinas kong
He never set out to dethrone Marcos. He was out there to prevent bloodshed. He said that again and again and again.
I think he represented at one point in time parang the living spirit of the First People Power. He was directly, I think, responsible for it. Siya yung spirit ng First People Power.
Ang sumunod na 4 na araw sa EDSA ay nakaukit na sa kasaysayan ng bayang Pilipinas. Ang milyon-milyong nagpuyat sa kahabaan ng EDSA, ang matatapang na mga pari at madre, ang panunumpa ni Corazon Aquino bilang bagong pangulo ng bayang biglang nabuhayan ng pag-asa, ang pagtakas ng mga Marcos, bit-bit ang kanilang kayamanan, at ang muling pagsilang ng demokrasya sa Pilipinas. Bahagi ang lahat ng ito sa di kailanmang malilimutang sandali sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, at nakatala sa pahinang yon ang isang Jaime La Chica Sin, sugo ng Diyos, kardinal ng simbahan, bayani ng EDSA.
The priest of Manila is a treasure. It is a gift of God. Very good priest. And that's why I am thanking the Lord who have given me such wonderful workers.
He has given more than anything else leadership by example to the younger clergy. That leadership by example involves a great deal of deep faith, which he has shown, but also a great deal of courage, especially courage to act. For somebody in a position of authority to act is a rare thing. No? Sa past, pag tumitingin tayo sa icons of the church, kailangan siyempre may breviary sa kamay, nagdadasal, may rosaryo. Sa mga sine ng Pilipino, pag nakikita ang pari, siyempre may rosaryong hawak o gano'n. That was the icon of the church person. Cardinal Sin has revised that, has shown that the Christian faith and the gospel of Jesus does not stop inside the sanctuary and the convento, that it goes out into the wide world itself, no? That wherever the joys and hopes, the sufferings, the rights especially of human persons are concerned.
I think he is the most important person who has affected my life. Perhaps even more than my parents. I have lived with him for 16 years now. And from him, I learned really obedience to the Holy See and love of God and love of country. And he always told me during those difficult years of Marcos that love of country is but another expression of our love for God. And if you say you love God and you do not love your country, you are a lesser Christian. His courage is very contaminating and very challenging.
Labis na napamahal nga si Cardinal Sin sa kanyang mga pari, hindi lamang dahil sa kanyang dulot na inspirasyon, kundi dahil na rin sa kanyang madalas na pagngiti at malakas na halakhak.
He laughs all the time. And that was why John Paul II liked him so much. Because when he would attend the meetings in Rome, and it would get very tense, and people would be ready to walk out or to say harsh things about each other, he would say something that would make everybody laugh, and then everybody would be relaxed, and then it would go on.
A couple wanted to get married, and they are young, and they said, Cardinal, can we have our own formula? I said, all right, provided that I will have my own after your own formula. And they said, all right. So the husband turned to the woman and said, you are my cherry. And the woman said, you are my apple. So I said, I declare you fruit salad. I declare you as Fruit salad. Declare you as fruit salad. I declare you fruit salad.
He cracks jokes not so much in order to be funny, but because he has that positive attitude towards life, that he always sees the best in life.
Well, I had my first impression of Cardinal Sin when I was still an altar boy in our church in Makati. And during that time, he seemed like a very kind and fatherly grandfather. And that has stuck, that impression has stuck to me ever since. And even if I became an activist later on in college, I always viewed him as someone who had wisdom, someone who cared for people.
I think it's his sincerity, because he will tell people what he feels, what he thinks, without holding back. I think being truthful to people is his way of being a friend to them.
Pagkatapos ng EDSA, patuloy na narinig ang tinig niya sa iba't ibang usapin, lalo na sa mga may kinalaman sa isyung moral.
Bilang alagad po sana ng Diyos, sana po, yung tungkol sa politika po, sa pamumulitika, dapat po, hindi na lang po siya nakikialam doon.
Kasi katulad niya, nagkakagulo na nga ang ating mga gobyerno. Di sana naman, huwag naman siyang makisali.
Parang siyang lumalabas na isa sa mga nag-uutos sa mga tao para bumaliktad ang mga tao na napupuno sila ng pag-iisip, puro sa politika. Nawawala na yung para sa simbahan.
Ngunit hindi siya kailanman nagpapigil sa kanyang mga kritiko. Lalo na nang tumakbo ang isang kontrobersyal na Joseph Estrada para sa pinakamataas na posisyon ng kapangyarihan sa pamahalaan.
Sa totoo lang, masasabi ko mas nauna si Cardinal Sin. Kasi ang basis pa niyan yun, yung mga moral issues na kami sa bayan, bagamat pinapahalagan din namin yung moral issues, mas nakafocus kami doon sa political issues. At saka ano ba yung epekto ng Estrada presidency sa mga sektor na kinikilusan namin. Kandidato pa lang si Estrada, talagang anybody but erap na yung kanyang desisyon.
Ako, si Joseph Ernesto Estrada, ay mataimtim na nanunumpa.
Laban sa kagustuhan ng mga pamunuan ng simbahan at kilusang sibiko na naig ang boto ng masa. Sa tagumpay ni Estrada, isinilang ang isang pamahalaang puno ng intriga at gawaing kriminal. Hindi nagsayang ng oras ang bagong presidente. Agad na kinabang ang kanyang mga pamilya at mga kaibigan sa kanyang posisyon.
Pinabalaan ko sila. Walang kaibigan, walang kumpare, walang kamag-anak o anak na maaaring magsamantala ngayon. At ngayon pa lamang sinasabi ko sa inyo, nag-aaksaya lamang kayo ng panahon. Huwag niyo kong subukan.
You know, one of the pains of the Cardinal is betrayal. After the president was elected in 1998, overwhelmingly, the position that the Cardinal took is, let us help him. He even said that in Malacanang publicly. Let us help the president because the success of the president will redound to the success of the poor of the entire nation. So the point is we gave him the benefit of the doubt and we gave him our full support in spite of his background before the election. And he did not use that trust properly. He betrayed it.
When he went after Erap, all he wanted to do was to have Erap resign, or rather, that he wanted the anomalies to stop. But he felt he was depressed by the fact that Arap was known to have mistresses and did not blush about it, and it was printed in the newspapers and announced on the radio and on TV, and he felt that this was a kind of a public denial of the Ten Commandments.
Here personally to accuse the Lord of all wedding lords, no less than the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Joseph Hercio Estrada.
Kay Cardinal Sin unang lumapit si Gobernador Chavit Singson na puno na ang salok. Nagtipon-tipon muli sa EDSA ang taong bayan para sa isang malaking anti-ERAP rally. Sa harap ng lahat, inisa-isa ni Cardinal Sin ang kasalanan ng Pangulo at walang korap na hiningi ang pagbibitiw nito.
It is a temptation for you, an occasion of sin. Resignation will be good for your soul.
When we called for the resignation of the President in October 2000, there were moves already to tell the people to stay at EDSA November 4, 2000, after that big rally. I remember his reaction. He said, "Not yet." And he wouldn't explain, but he just said, "Not yet."
Lumipas ang mga araw. Nagsimula sa Senado ang paglilitis kay Estrada para sa kanyang impeachment. Pero kahit ang oposisyon ay nagduda sa kahihinatnan nito.
His faith was so strong. And he was always, well, many times he was jolly when we were not. And he was calm when we were many times when we were despairing.
Because of this development, Mr. Chief Justice, I realize that the noes have it, and therefore I resign my presidency of the Senate as soon as my successor is elected.
Umapaw ang galit at gigil ng mga taong sumusubaybay sa impeachment trial nang harangin ng mga maka-erap na senador ang pagbubukas ng kontrobersyal na sobreng naglalaman ng pruweba ng milyon-milyong itinago ni Estrada sa bangko. Sa kanto ng EDSA at Ortigas noong gabing yun, naulit ang people power. Hating gabi na noong magkita muli sina Cardinal Sin at Cory sa EDSA Shrine. Alam na nila ang kanilang dapat gawin.
What we are afraid of has happened. Truth has become a victim of immoral people who continuously tell lies.
Isang tawag lamang at nagtipon muli ang mga bayani ng EDSA upang manindigan laban sa isang rehimeng kriminal at upang lumuhod at manalangin muli sa langit.
I,
Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Vice President of the Philippines, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and conscientiously fulfill my duties as President of the Philippines.
Saturday noon, it was over. And on the birthday of President Aquino, I was seated at the same table with the Cardinal, and I asked him, Your Eminence, why were you so sure that it would be finished by the Sunday, when nobody else, absolutely nobody else, I guess not even Cory Aquino, thought it would be finished by Sunday? And his answer was, because I asked Our Lady, and I was sure she would answer us.
He must have a direct line to the Lord because he seems to know what the Lord wants, even if it's not apparent at the moment.
Sa tulong ng taimtim at paulit-ulit na dasal na inumpisahan ng Kardinal, napatalsik muli ng taong bayan ang isang Pangulong di karapat-dapat sa pwesto nito sa Malacanang.
I think in Manila and all over the Philippines, it's overwhelmingly a positive reaction to the Cardinal.
Sa 2.5 dekada niyang pagpastol sa Maynila, nakilala ang Kardinal bilang pinunong hindi lamang makapangyarihan sa simbahang Katolika, kundi rin sa larangan ng politika.
Bahaging-bahagi ito ng ating buhay Kristiyano, yung ipahayag si Kristo sa lahat ng larangan ng ating buhay. Sa lahat ng aspeto ng buhay ng Pilipino. Ang politika ang nangangailangan ng Ebanghelyo.
A human being is both body and soul. I mean, how do you say that the Cardinal should just stick to spiritual things when the spiritual also, concerns the material needs of the people, and certainly it is for him also to show the people what good politics is all about.
Ito marahil ang isa sa mga pinakamahalagang pamana ni Cardinal Sin sa bayang Pilipinas, na ang paninindigan at paglaban para sa katarungan ay bahagi ng pagiging mabuting Kristiyano, na ang kalooban ng Diyos at kabutihan ng tao ay natatagpuan hindi lamang sa loob ng simbahan, kundi sa anumang larangan, maging sa tahanan, sa barangay o sa balota.
He also said to me once, I remember, when there is injustice, you cannot remain neutral. You have to side with justice. When there is unfairness, when there is immorality, you cannot remain neutral.
Sa ganitong paraan binuksan ni Cardinal Sin ang mga pinto ng simbahan sa higit na malaking lipunan.
To remain neutral is to remain safe. But what would life be if all of us chose to be safe?
Bayan magadak sa mabuting balita, tumingalaan, bawiin ang lupa. Narito na ang pinangakong kahalan. Inilumal ang sanggol ni Pari.
I don't know why they followed my advice. I think they saw that what I am saying is correct.
He sizes up the Philippine situation, the people, how we as ordinary Catholics will respond.
His courage and his total belief in the power of prayer really encourages all of us.
Truly, Cardinal Sin is a prophet of our times. He is our Moses. We follow him. He is close to God, and he's close to the people.
Whether you like what is done or not, he has shaped the direction of Philippine events over the last 2.5 decades.
You come to appreciate the man at close range. My hero is also very human. The prophet in our midst is also a brother in our midst. And that's his gift.